think about this, right? If I had to write down on a piece of paper the most crucial thing, like saying, I will kill my mom, right? On a piece of paper, and I put that down, and I said, okay, for 1 week, you have to put this in your wallet.
Yeah.
And it has to stay there.
Yeah.
But after 1 week, you can throw it away.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I mean, probably try not to look at it and throw it away.
Yeah, exactly. People with OCD can't throw it away.
Yeah.
As much as they want to. They can't reach down into their wallet and throw it away. It's stuck. And that's what obsessive compulsive is, right? There's these obsessions. You like obsess about these ideas, these dark, intrusive thoughts, right?
Bro.
And when you don't know what OCD is telling you, okay, so if you don't want to be perceived as someone that does this bad thing, you have to knock on wood 10 times a day. And if you don't do that, that's a compulsion. So it's a compulsory action to reduce the anxiety of that thought, right?
Well,
so I have to do that, right? But because I know what OCD is, I understand that that's an obsession and this is a compulsion, so I can stop I can resist the compulsion. You can't really resist the obsession because they happen. It's like the anxiety. You can't really stop it from coming into your mind. Yeah. It's like this, right? But you can resist the compulsion. The compulsion is what weighs the anchor down. It's what makes OCD stronger. The more times I do this, the more times I make the obsession real in my head, right? Because I'm doing something tangible in real life to tie that knot to make it a reality in my own head. Does that make sense?
Dude, you're like literally blowing my mind because I've had thoughts like this. And I've never ever classified it in. I've always kind of thought that I had anxiety, or maybe I've thought maybe I was like a little bit autistic, but I had moments like literally exactly what you're talking about with intrusive thoughts where like just even like I told you, like I slept over at Ollie's house. Ollie's our friend who lives in the city, and he played some video in his room. I was sleeping on the couch. He played some videos in the room about like, because he's Muslim, I'm Christian. It was basically saying like, oh, Christian's a fake religion. And I know he wasn't playing it to like mess with me or anything, but I just like was spiraling in this like thought, like I could not sleep for the entire night, just spiraling, thinking like, I was just like, oh, what if it's fake? What if it's fake?
Right.
What if it's fake?
Right.
And like, oh, and then thinking, oh, well, what if God's watching me and he's seeing my thoughts, and like
that's
spiraling down. I couldn't sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I used to have that with like, I mean, that was just a recent example.
Yeah.
I've gotten way better. But
that's the thing. Well, dude, that's the thing.
But I would never know that.
People think that our mental health illnesses, it's even a stigma, like as much as people are open with mental health, and I have this, I have that, blah, 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 whatever. It's not as clear cut. Our brains are a mush put of chemicals. There's no clear-cut line that says you got OCD, you got anxiety, you got bipolar. That's not the case. There's overlap, there's pores, there's dips. You can have a little of it. Like there's no. Every single person experiences things like that when they get in highly stressful situations. Every person, but they don't know what it is. It took me like until I was 18 to understand. My life got so complex. I was about to move 2,000 miles away from my hometown in Virginia to San Diego, which I'd never been except when I was younger. I had all this anxiety. I was feeling anxiety for the first time. My life got so complex. My OCD released out of my genetic predisposition, and I had to go see. Before then, I went to therapy but I was never honest with my therapist when I was a little kid about what was going on in here, because I was ashamed. They're dark, they're intrusive. You think they're weird. You think you're the only one in the world. But even like you just said right now, you experience them. And that's why I want to do what I want to do, and I want to tell these stories, right?
I want to, this is really hitting me right now, and I want to take a moment to really zone in on intrusive thoughts, because out of all the things you said to me, no one had ever said, I've never heard the term intrusive thoughts before you. And it was something I always dealt with where it's like, it's one event, there's a trigger event. So maybe someone at our college hangs themselves.
Right.
And everyone sees it on Instagram. But now I'm thinking, well, what if that was my friend? What if that was me? What if that was, and what if that was a little kid? What if that was my little brother? And it's like, but I feel like I can't share those thoughts with anyone because I feel like they don't have them.
Right.
And I don't even, I want to drop the whole OCD. I want to drop the whole anxiety because I think you said something that's so important. I don't want to make people listening to this feel that they need to like identify with a problem because they have intrusive thoughts.
Right.
But I also want them to know that we are sitting here and we have intrusive thoughts, and I've had it really bad with just a lot of things. It's not like something that rules my world. Like, I'm a very happy person, but I want to know, like, it's so hard to formulate what the question is. But what would you say to those people who are listening that have intrusive thoughts? How would you make them feel less bad, or how would you say to go about that, or what would your comfort to them
Well,
be?
so intrusive thought, I mean, just first thing is understand that everyone has them. Like I said, everyone has these thoughts. Going back to the analogy of writing, I will kill, someone, like I'll kill my, right? Everyone has those fleeting intrusive thoughts. Everyone has them.
Yeah.
But it depends if they have the ability to throw it out of their wallet or not.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times with people that have different types of anxiety disorder, that's why they're anxiety disorders, because they don't have the ability to throw it out, like OCD. They can't throw it out and it's stuck. Again, the first thing, it's very simple. There's this type of therapy called exposure response therapy.
Yeah.
It's very simple, right? All it is you have this obsession, right? When you have this obsession, your anxiety goes up.
Yeah.
That's what the obsession is. It's anxiety. It's an anxiety related. Your anxiety goes up. If you can resist that compulsion, because compulsion, knocking on wood, all a compulsion is a response to the anxiety to make it go down.
Yeah.
But if you can resist enacting in any compulsion whatsoever and just trust that anxiety in on its own will not constantly ever go up and always goes up and has to plateau and then go back down. Anxiety, like, nothing goes up and you don't keep getting anxious. It goes up and then, and you can trust that and resist the compulsion, you just perform ERP, right? You've exposed yourself to this obsession without responding in a compulsion, right?
Yeah.
So what people do in ERP is, like, if like they have like a fear of like, okay, I'm like gonna hurt this person or I'm gonna do that, you right?
Yeah.
You could watch something about that, like watch a movie. Like, for example, this is a little fucked up, but like when all the school shootings were happening, right? And like when I was in high school, that was one of my big themes of my intrusive thoughts. And it was never the thing where it's like, oh, I think I'm gonna do something like that, right? The intrusive thought, what it is like, what if I'm seen by other people as someone that would do that?
Yeah.
All anxiety-related disorders and OCD is from the manifestation of how other people perceive you, in a sense. It's not, in a sense, a lot of times, am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? It's, will people ever see me like that? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, am I being mean in school? Will so I'd be extra nice in school because when these things would happen, I was like, I don't want anyone to dislike me, anyone to think that I ever do something like that, right? I never played Call of Duty or first-person shooter games, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like, in a sense, I don't want to use the word triggering, but that's what it was. It sparked my OCD. I'd avoid all these movies. I'd avoid the news. I'd walk in my car, my dad, I'd turn off the radio was the first thing I'd do, right?
Yeah.
But an exposure would be, okay, play this video game.
Yeah.
Expose yourself. Understand that it's your OCD, because at the end of time, you're falling, you're learning, and you're growing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're slaying the dragon. You're being brave enough to put yourself in this uncomfortable situation where you're falling and you're struggling in order to gain this reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
You have to be brave enough to make that fall, to expose yourself to that obsession. You have to be disciplined enough to sit through it, right? To learn from it and be confident enough to next time be able to know you have to tackle it. Like I said, it goes to everything. You fall to learn to grow. Everything. And especially that.